Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was True Red Dragon Emperor Part 6. Chapter 38. Issei was in the air, then after a few moments he landed on top of his wife's home. Issei smiled that he was back. He needed to reveal his wives. He saw Kunu commanding her soldiers. Issei was glad that Kunu was a natural leader. He also wondered where is Yusaka. He watched his wives heading to an open area. He heard Esha spoke, what now? The devils are in our territory. Celia was next to speak, yeah. Yusaka is missing, but surprisingly that guy decided to risk his life for us. Yet at odd I sense he was human, not a devil. Kunu spoke, putting a finger under her chin. Iwa spoke while everyone started to sit on chairs that were facing the mountain's view. He wanted to explain himself, but I guess we know now. Probably an ambassador from the devils. Maybe. I wish to say was right here. My mother missing and him gone over a year. Kunu spoke as her voice saddened. Iwa spoke, remember Issei promises us that he return. Now and ever we need him. Issei noticed the sadness of his wives and decided to reveal himself. He jumped down in front of them. His wives got in guard. Kunu spoke, what do you want? How you got here? Issei noticed his wives' powers were growing. Issei spoke, I followed you. It seems don't recognize me. His wives had a question on their faces. Then Issei realized that he was hiding his features. He used magic to reveal himself slowly. His wives began to be in shock until it revealed his real features. Kunu spoke, Issei. Issei spoke, yeah, it me all along. I came back. I took the hits for you. Then his wives exclaimed, Issei. His wives jumped on him. Issei noticed they were crying for his return. Issei hugged them tightly as he revealed his wings and tail out. The guards nearby kneeled before Issei for his return. Issei spoke, I missed you girls. Where is Yusaka? Kunu spoke, she disappeared. She supposed to meet with other leaders but disappeared in the fog. Issei's dragon instincts flared. He was worried his wife Yusaka. Issei was wanting to know. He had to calm himself first before anything happens. Issei spoke, we'll find her. I promise to if someone took her we'll pay. As his voice turns to a dragon. Esha spoke, yeah please be here for us. I will. Issei spoke. Then he proceeded to kiss his wives. He missed their lips. He felt their large breasts pressing on him. He placed his hands on their breasts. Celia spoke, ah. Issei. Please. Issei spoke, I missed this large breasts. He teased them for a while. Kunu had 9 golden tails like her mother out. Issei hugged them, not letting them go. Iwa spoke, we a lot to tell you. They took Issei to their home. Issei lied down as his wives were on top of him hugging him. He wanted to spend time with them. They began to explain what while he was gone about the alliances and improvements of their factions. Issei spoke, my turn to speak. While I lived away I meet my childhood friend. Luckily for me we don't get along. You heard the nickname Nemesis, which is me. Kunu spoke, I thought it was the Red Dragon Emperor. Yeah, about it. I was the one who took his glory, they trying to cover it up. My ancestor spoke to me that I'm descendant of Dryag, but I'm not ready for the title. Esha spoke, Kinda figured. We're glad you are here. You are not part of devils. Not really, I only get involved the safety of my family. I also have something to say. I have 4 girlfriends. His wives looks at him with a serious face. Issei could sweat forming and his wives spoke, don't mind as long we meet them and decide. Issei could relax that his wives aren't mad at him, but he had to explain how it happened. His wives acknowledge his reasons why. He stayed there for hours until sunset. He worried for Yusaka. He is going to figure out no matter what. Issei returned back to the hotel, everyone while hiding his features, the devils began to question him about the yokai. Issei gave vague answers, not wanting to reveal to them the truth yet. As his old group leader spoke, alright, rest, tomorrow we going to meet the yokai. Issei went to his room and his girlfriends were waiting for him. Dimit spoke, so? They were glad I came. Yusaka is missing. I missed them. I told them about you. They would want to meet you when Yusaka is back. Issei responded. Emilia spoke, I hope we can get along with your wives. They began to lay on top Issei as he felt their large breasts on him. Issei hoped he would find his missing wife. Chapter 39. The next morning Issei woke his girlfriends on him. He needed to find his wife but felt sensation of her somewhere. After everyone woke up Issei was ready to head out. The devils were going to meet the yokai. Issei decided to go along. Francis, Aoi, Zenobia, Asia and Irina didn't know what was going to happen. They went to the shrine and met the guards. The guards were respectfully bowed to them, but it was meant for Issei. The devils thought they were better than the yokai because of the bow. Issei sensed the devil's ego. He wanted to show who is boss in the territory. They entered the shrine and they met the leaders of yokai. Kunu was at the center as Issei wives were sitting next to her. Francis couldn't help but stare at them. They very beautiful. He wondered if he could add them to his harem because he is the Red Dragon Emperor. Dryag spoke to Francis, don't make moves on them. Dryag warned, why not? They are single. Francis spoke, those rings. Dryag spoke. Francis looks at their fingers and had rings on them. He felt chills on his spine like a death sentence was on him. Kunu spoke, thanks for coming, sorry for the attack from yesterday. Azazel spoke, is okay, but I admit it was a surprise, but what happened? Iwa spoke, she is Kunu, daughter of Yusaka. Yusaka has disappeared and the intel we recently got that it could be a faction. Issei wanting to burst and destroy the faction. His wives and girlfriends saw his state. They were hoping that he saved the anger later. Kunu spoke, I beg of you to help find my mother. In return for what? Francis asked, trying to tempt them. Issei's eyes turned green, ready to murder him on the spot. His wives saw his reaction and began to sweat. Esha spoke, I'm Esha, a succubus. In return we're going to be your tour guide. Red Dragon Emperor. Dryag spoke to Francis, you really want to die. Because if you said your true intentions you are dead. Francis felt his body was getting weak, that someone was ready to kill him. Azazel spoke, that settled then. Kunu spoke, one last thing. Here is picture of my mother. Kunu showed a picture of her mother. Francis was awed the beauty of Yusaka. Dryag spoke, she is married. Francis noticed the ring on her finger. Francis spoke, how come? Never knew they are married. Azazel noticed the rings and asked, you're married? Celia responded, yes we are. All of us to a same guy. He is not here for the moment. Azazel nodded but sensed that issei could be the possibility. He knew he lived in Koito for a long time. After the meeting, Kunu and the girls began to guide the devils around the city. The girls were trying to be close with issei. Then they out to eat. Issei enjoyed his wife's cooking. The devils wondered why the girls were trying to get close to him. There'd been some history hidden from them. Aoi was in question that issei knew the supernatural since he was kid. After eating they went out for a walk on the bridge, then purple fog appeared. The group got ready for a fight. Then appeared a man with a golden spear. The man spoke, my name is Cao Cao. It seems the yokai has allies. Kunu yelled, what you want? Well basically we targeting you. Princess. Your mother was the substitute for it. We are the hero faction. Cao Cao responded. Issei was getting angry, wanting to kill, but he needed information. Esha spoke, where is Yusaka? Oh, she is with us. Cao Cao responded. Then Francis went balance break and charged at Cao Cao. Cao easily pushed Francis back. Cao spoke, I see you are the Red Dragon Emperor. Francis spoke, hell yeah. Good day for me. I'll get to kill the Red Dragon Emperor. Cao spoke. Cao charged at Francis at a quick speed, but Issei intervened in the way. Issei punched Cao in his face. Cao was sent flying back. Cao came back flying at Issei with bloody nose. Cao yelled, you'll pay. Pointing his spear at Issei. Issei grabbed Cao's spear and threw a punch at Cao's stomach, sending him flying back again. Cao landed on the ground and spoke, let us meet at middle of city tonight. You and I will battle to the death. Also the Yusaka will be there. But that Cao left in the fog. Issei clenched his fists. His girlfriends were a bit afraid of him. His wives knew his anger when it's similar situation like this. The devils noticed Issei behavior and no one wanted to anger him more. After hours passed till dark. The group went out to meet the hero faction. Cao came out of the bushes and spoke, you all came. Well, why don't we get started? Then appeared Yusaka in front of them. Like she wasn't aware around. Issei spoke with venom, let her go. Cao looks at Issei and spoke, try. Then magic circles started appearing, making Yusaka transformed in large nine-tailed fox. Cao team came out ready for battle. Issei spoke, everyone. I'll handle this faction. The group about to protest, but his wives stopped them. Esha spoke, let him be. We need take care of Yusaka. Cao spoke, alright. Red Dragon Emperor, come fight my team. Francis spoke with ego, I'll win this fight. Francis charged at the group, but after a few minutes Francis was knocked to the ground weakened. Issei watched with no pity. Issei looks at Cao and spoke, you'll pay. Issei charged at the group. The faction was shocked to see his green eyes like the Red Dragon Emperor. The faction was trying to kill him but failed. Cao was trying to fight but was getting knocked back. After a few minutes Cao had enough and decided to go serious. Cao started get the advantage but was stopped by Issei anger. Cao was able to send a kick at Issei, sending him back. Issei stood still and saw his wife was in pain. He wanted to protect her, he willing to sacrifice his life for her. Issei spoke, getting ready to accept his nature, I Issei Hyodo, born like human. Let my enemies fear me and my allies more. I shall bring destruction to my enemies. Protect who I love. I, descendant of Dryag, shall become the Red Dragon Emperor. But that a red bright light appeared. Issei real features appeared, his wings and tail out. His hands and legs of a dragon. Crown-like shape on his head. Everyone who saw his transformation shook in fear. Everyone now knows his real identity, a descendant of Dryag. The devils were in shock. Cao started to shake to see a dragon. Issei spoke with dragon tone, you'll pay with your life. Then Issei charged at Cao and punched him. He took out his claws and stabbed him. Cao spit out blood and was trying to fight back. His team were trying to protect Kao but were slaughtered by Issei. Ao decided to leave since Issei was too strong for him. Issei yelled, "You won't go away." Issei flew at Kao and dragged him to the ground. Issei clawed Kao's body then made sphere of destruction and struck him. Ao was in shock that he lost. Then he vaporized in air dead. Issei returned back to Yasaka. Francis was in shock that Issei was the descendant of Dryag. The one who took glory. Issei yelled at the fox, "Yasaka. I'm here for you." Yasaka looks at Issei and noticed his dragon side. Her heart softened, then she transformed back to normal unconscious. Gunu ran up to her mother hugging her. Issei looks around and saw the devils in shock. Issei spoke, "I guess there's something to tell you." Chapter 40. The devils were looking at Issei before Issei could speak. Yasaka began to wake up. Yasaka spoke, "Issei." Issei turns around to Yasaka and hugged her. Issei spoke, "I'm glad you are okay." Yasaka looks at Issei green eyes. Yasaka smiled, then pulled Issei for a kiss. Everyone was in shock including Francis and Aoi. Issei kissed back with passion. Issei helped Yasaka to her feet while Yasaka had her body against him. Issei nods at his wives to come close. Celia, Kunu, Esha and Yua pressed their bodies on Issei. Issei spoke, "These are my wives." Aoi was in shock as Francis was cursing that Issei bested him. Azazel was surprised that Issei had another harem before he moved out. "These are my girlfriends. Emilia, Shu, Shuri and Timid." Issei spoke to his wives. Isaka spoke, "How about we talk at my home, since questions are going to be asked." Francis was gritting his teeth that Issei have 9 girls. Issei gave a glare at Francis. Once they reached Isaka home. Everyone in the shrine were happy to see her back with Issei. They all sat down as Issei's wives surrounded him. As everyone sat across from them, Aoi asked, "Issei how?" Issei responded, "I knew my wives when I was boy. I saved Kunu from being kidnapped. Yusaka accepted me in her home. Let's say sometime I got married with them at 7. The devils exclaimed, "What?" Azazel was also shocked that a boy that age got married. Issei returned back to human form. His real features appeared. The girls couldn't help but blush. He was handsome and his girlfriends were blushing madly. His red streak hair appeared. Kunu spoke, "This is our real husband form." I'm surprised that Issei hid his features. Francis spoke, "Tell what made believe you are the Red Dragon Emperor. It runs in veins I'm descendant of Dryag. I tried to hide it from being now I accepted it." Then Issei let his wings and tail. Everyone was in awe except his girlfriends. Aoi spoke, "I never knew that." Celia spoke, "Now you know." Isaka spoke, "We want to be left with Issei alone. His girlfriends can stay with us." The devils nodded and left while Issei was left alone with girls. Issei began to present his wives to his girlfriends. Surprisingly they got along well. The servants came in with food to celebrate the return of Issei and also the safety of Yasaka. While Issei was eating he was left alone in the dining room. His girls left to do something. As he was having a good time. He noticed his girls came in bunny suits. Shuri spoke, "How do we look?" Issei responded, "Hexy." His wives and girlfriends were blushing for being complimented. Celia spoke, "We are going to serve our emperor." Issei questioned on his head then his harem approached him while swaying their hips. They started to treat Issei like an emperor. Issei felt pride for being served. Dryag was laughing at Francis in secret. His descendant rightfully claimed his title. Francis was furious that Issei took his glory and women he had eyes on. His harem was Ria's, Akeno, Asia, Kaneko, and Aoi. His harem doesn't compare to Issei's harem. Issei had more busty girls than Francis. Issei lost his virginity while Francis hasn't lost his. Issei sensed that Francis was cursing him but grins. He rightfully claimed the title of emperor. Issei spoke to himself, "Francis couldn't beat me." Lemon. Every once in a while Issei would kiss his girls. Issei was getting filled with lust. His harem noticed his behavior. Dimit spoke, "It seems our emperor is getting excited." Esha spoke, "Let's take him to our bedroom." Then his girls dragged Issei to a large bedroom. They put him to sit down on a chair. Isaka seductively, "Wait here for us." Issei was trying to contain himself from jumping to them. After a few minutes his girls came with transparent clothes. Their side of the legs showing. Then they turned on the music on. They began to dance around Issei. They started to lap dances and occasionally hit their bodies on Issei. Issei was looking at them with hungry eyes. His harem noticed his lust grew. Any moment Issei would lose control. Gunu spoke seductively, "Seems our emperor is getting impatient." Gunu leaned in front of Issei showing her large part of her breasts. Then Kunu began to kiss Issei passionately. Then the rest began to approach him and began to kiss his neck. Kunu spoke, "I miss you Issei." Then Issei placed his hands on Kanu's breasts. Kanu began to moan, then Issei stood up and began to massage their breasts. Each girl had their turn with Issei. Issei began to take off their clothes. The girls were blushing before their emperor. Shuri spoke while blushing, "Do as you please with us." Issei approached his girls and began to kiss each one of them. After a few minutes Issei dragged his harem to the bed. All 9 girls were laying on the bed looking at Issei. Yua spoke, please do as always. Issei got on top of them began to suck their breasts. They began to moan and it was music to Issei's ears. Then his wives and girlfriends giggled. Suddenly they pinned Issei to the bed. Isaka spoke while wagging her 9 tails, wanna do when you were boy? Issei spoke, go ahead. Then Yusaka sat on Issei's face while Kunu positioned herself on Issei member. Kunu spoke, I really miss this inside me. Then Kunu slid down on Issei member and moaned loudly. Issei began to eat out Yusaka. While they were having threesome. Celia and Esha took Issei's hands and fingered themselves. Yua and Issei's girlfriends watched. Their bodies were getting hot. Kunu spoke, ah. Yes. I can feel it pulsing. Issei came inside of Kunu and she moaned loudly while wagging her 9 tails. While Yusaka also came on Issei's face. Esha spoke, Issei remembered there are more girls waiting. Then Issei spoke, everyone will have their turn. Isaka moved her daughter and positioned herself on Issei member, then Celia came on top of Issei's face. Issei took Esha, Yua, Emilia, Shu, Shuri, and Timid next. If one girl becomes weak the other girl take her place. After one position they go another different. Issei was enjoying the constant hex. Issei made sure to break them slowly. They were having doggy style and other hex positions. Shu spoke well behind pounded by behind, this so good. Ah. This is Issei fantasies Issei spoke, sure it is. We'll be doing it till morning. His girls giggled being used for Issei urges. Each one of them wanted Issei. Issei noticed his girls were being covered with heman and sweat. His girls didn't care as long they can satisfy Issei. Issei would be gentle with them, but they begged him to be rough as he complied. Issei made Yua a dragon during hex. Her transformation wasn't painful as she felt pleasure from Issei. Issei always felt their large breasts on him. Issei made sure to get the most of it. Emilia spoke, Issei make me as one of your wives While Issei had her laying on the bed while her ass sticking out in the air. Issei spoke in dominating tone, you sure? No turning back. Yes. Emilia responded. Issei grins and began to be rough with her. Emilia was filled with bliss. Then his other girlfriends asked Issei to become their wives. Then his 9 wives gathered in front of Issei and spoke in unison, please give us children to your sluts. Issei spoke, very well my bitches. I promise each one of you will bear my children. Then Issei began to hit their wombs deep. They continue all the way until noon. His wives were tired as Issei was awake. His wives were asleep on top of him. Dryag spoke, congratulations son. You'll have kids. Issei spoke, wait. I think I lost control of myself. Haha. It happens when you have a large harem. I'm surprised that you aren't tired. Dryag spoke. End of lemon. Issei waited his wives to wake up. He told them he have to back, but he promised to return within couple of months. He'll be with them forever. Who knows what will happen to his life. Chapter 41. After a weeks everyone knew the descendant of Dryag was Issei. Everyone who knew him fear him. Riaz learned the information then reported to the underworld. The word spread like wildfire. Every faction and leaders were afraid of Issei would like to avenge his ancestor death. Issei made sure he didn't want to fight but live in peace. He won't join nobody's sides. He was at school and met a girl who was shy and was kind to him since she moved in recently. She had long brown hair with a busty figure with brown eyes. She was human and Issei as a dragon wasn't trying to make any moves on her. Issei learned her name which was Kiri. His wives were eyeing on Issei if he was pursuing another girl. Issei was in class with the devils were watching him carefully since their existence is in danger. Issei was hiding his features to not gain any attention. When lunch came Issei was eating with Kiri. Kiri spoke while blushing, Issei. Issei spoke, yeah what is it? Well are you dating anyone? Kiri asked while she looking away a blush. Issei responded, no. As Issei was about to explain but was interrupted by Kiri. Can you be my boyfriend? Kiri asked with a blush. Why yeah but? Issei responded. Kiri asked, what? I'm not good enough for you? Issei responded, no not all. You are beautiful. I enjoy spending time with you but I. Then Kiri pulled Issei for kiss which Issei recuperate the kiss. Kiri spoke, don't worry Issei I'll always be on your side no matter what. Issei smiled at her but felt guilty for not telling her that he has a harem. As days went on Kiri would spend time with Issei like her only boyfriend, but his wife Emilia couldn't get close to him during school. Issei was trying to tell Kiri what about his situation, but Kiri would always dismiss it, thinking it just his insecurities. During the night Issei was on his bed as Emilia, Shuri, Shu and Timid were sleeping on top of him. Timid spoke, can't sleep. Well. I wanted to tell Kiri about the situation. She would always dismiss it. I'm worried once I tell her she would think I'm a player. Issei responded. Maybe because she thinks that your insecurities like you had bad relationships in the past. She wanted to assure you it won't be the same. It better to tell her the truth than hiding it. Timid spoke. Issei spoke while stroking timid hair, yeah, I'll try. One day after school Kiri was walking back home, but then a luxurious car came by and slowed down. It was bald man with expensive clothes. The man spoke, need a ride home? Kiri was hesitant but decided to go with him. After a few days Issei noticed that Kiri was being more distant with him. He noticed that was wearing expensive jewelry. His instincts was telling him something is not right. At home he asked his wives about Kiri if there any reason she was being more distant with him. Amelia spoke, yeah, I notice it, but I all think that she could be cheating on you but not sure. Issei spoke, okay. As days went on Issei was being anxious, then one day Kiri dropped out of school. Issei wondered what would be. He returned back home with his wife, then met his other wives. His family were out shopping for a while, so his wives introduced themselves as Issei friends. Which had no problem coming over. Issei ate dinner with his wives. After eating they were sitting on the couch enjoying the quiet moment. His mom called that they will be home late. Issei didn't had no problem with it. When it was dark Issei was about to go his room with his wives, but heard his phone go off. He decided to check on it. Lemon, it was video that was sent to him. Issei decided to play it with his wives. The video started a man speaking, come out. Show your hexy outfit. Then Kiri steps in the room, she was wearing lingerie tight to her skin. Issei's wives noticed what was going and looks at Issei. Issei was in state of shock. Then it could be seen a man kissing Kiri as another man joined massaging her breasts. Issei's eyes widened in shock. They began to strip her clothes off leaving Kiri naked. Then she was jumped by several men. She was getting clapped by multiple men. One man spoke, tell me Kiri. What do you think being used? Kiri spoke, ah. Amazing. Use me as you please ah. Issei bangs covered his eyes trying to hold back his tears. Issei's wives started to worry about him. The other man spoke, what was your boyfriend name? Ah is ah Issei. I loved him. Kiri responded. Then Kiri was being penetrated by all sides. Issei was clenching his fists. At the end Kiri was seen covered in heman laying on the bed. Kiri spoke, break me. I love the sticks. Get me pregnant. Issei I loved you. End of lemon. Issei tears to fell down to his cheek. He stood up and his wife spoke, Issei. I need to be alone for a while. Issei spoke. Issei felt the house and went to a hill. He roared in tears. Issei roared, why? I'm actually this bad, am I the same with those men? Dryag spoke, no son. You protect them. Love them. Care them. You stayed loyal to them as they did the same. Kiri and I are alike. I have multiple lovers and she also too. Issei roared. No exactly. They all wanted to be with me. They knew about your hesitation having multiple lovers. You gave them a chance to think about to sharing the same person. As Kiri decided to stab you by the back. She didn't told you about what going on. Dryag spoke. Issei made sphere dragon power and dense it. He threw into the sky to the unknown. Issei spoke in tears, I wished she could have break up with me than sending me a video being used. You may lost one, but you still have 9 wives. Most people wouldn't be able to handle it. Dryag spoke. Issei spoke, yeah. I need to go back. As a dragon I still have other options. Issei walked back being a bit depressed. His wives saw his pain in his eyes. They began to give him comfort. Issei was being comforted that his heart started to heal from the betrayal. Chapter 42. It was on a weekend where Issei has gotten over the betrayal of his girlfriend. His wives healed him after a few days of comforting him. Issei spoke to his wives that were in his room, hey girls. Do you want to go out and walk around the town? I'm sorry that I was emotional for a dragon. Dimit looks at Issei and spoke, hun, if a partner betrays another person. A dragon will let it rage and be able to go berserk. Luckily you kept your sanity for us. A dragon will rage for days destroying everything in its path or being killed by other beings. Shu hugged Issei tightly with her large breasts on him and spoke, I'm worried that you still have that rage inside of you. Though you don't tell me I can feel it inside of you. Issei clenched his fist still with rage. He can never hide his emotions with Shu. Issei spoke while his bangs covered his eyes, yeah true. I'm still raging by the inside. I wished I said no to her. Amelia, Timid and Shuri approached Issei and hugged him. Issei calmed down and hugged his 4 wives that were with him. Shuri spoke, Issei let go outside to ease our minds. Yet I'll tell my parents and sister. Issei spoke. Issei went downstairs and saw his family in the living room. Issei spoke to his mother, Mom, I'm going with my friends for a couple of hours. Issei's mother spoke while she watching TV, okay, be careful. His stepfather didn't said anything because of fear of Issei. His little sister Lily spoke, what about me big brother? We couldn't hang out for a while. Issei was hesitant but responded, okay sis. Issei's wives came to the living and Issei's stepfather was in shock that Issei friends were so beautiful. He felt chills on his spine. Issei's stepfather could feel his wife giving him a smile, but not a normal one. Issei took his wives and sister to take a walk outside. Issei was spending a good time with his family. As he was walking he sensed devils were stalking him. Issei was wanting to show them no mercy but hold his anger back. After some time Issei group was surrounded by a barrier. His little sister started to be scared of change of color around them. Issei spoke, sis close your eyes. Lily spoke with fear, what going on brother? Trust me. Issei spoke trying to calm his sister not wanting her to know the supernatural. Lily closed her eyes then suddenly fell asleep. Shuri took hold of Lily in her arms. Emilia spoke, she asleep Issei. Issei spoke, good now. Then a girl walked in the barrier while walking with her top heels. She spoke, never thought you are so calm like this. Issei immediately looks at the girl with anger. Issei mutters under his breath, Kiri. Kiri gave a evil smile at Issei and spoke, oh ain't it my ex-boyfriend I cheated on. Issei clenched his fists and spoke, what do you want from me? Oh. I thought you would be shocked to see me, but it seems not. Kiri responded. Then a massive amount of monsters came in different shapes and sizes number in thousands. Some were mutated or had extra limbs. Issei and his wives weren't shocked but disgusted by the scene. Kiri spoke, I'm a monster. I used to be human as an innocent and sweet high school girl. After I cheated on you, I was becoming less of a human. They gave me powers and I made legions of monsters. I always have hex with them. Kiri looks at Issei for any changes because a human would be scared to death. Also would think that it all a dream. It shocked Kiri that Issei had an anger face and his companions were disgusted. Kiri asked, what? Aren't you scared? Issei responded with a dark tone, what abomination I see. Then Kiri sent couple monsters to attack Issei once close Issei wives immediately incinerate them. Kiri was shocked his companions weren't humans. Dimit spoke, I'm very disgusted. We decided to end your life. Dare to hurt our emperor. Shu spoke with anger. Kiri was confused why Issei was called by emperor. Then realized that Issei is part of supernatural. Kiri spoke, Issei would let this girls hurt me? I promised to be loyal to you. Trying to manipulate Issei. Issei roared to the sky, enough. His powers shoot out of his body. The ground around him was destroyed. His arms and legs became of a dragon as his wings and tail came out. His wives decided to stay away from him because his rage took control of him. Kiri was shocked that Issei became a part dragon. Kiri spoke in shock, wait. You are a dragon? Issei looks at Kiri with death glare and responded, ever since I was born. Kiri hastily sent her legions of monsters to attack Issei. Issei made a ball destruction which was dense. Issei threw the ball at the ground. The monsters were close to Issei were incinerated instantly. Issei spoke, why you came to kill me? I'll tell you something. I'm with the devils. Kiri spoke with a smirk. Issei mutters to himself, devils. They are trying to get rid of me. Issei spoke, I see it now. After this I'll talk to them. No need for that. You won't make it alive. Kiri. Then the monster were after Issei's wives. His wives immediately began to fight. As Kiri watched she saw her legions were getting destroyed. Issei was blowing everything up. Issei spoke in anger, you'll pay for betraying me. Then Issei took a deep breath and exhaled with flames at the monsters. Every monster that were caught in his flames was burned to death. Issei quickly got close to Kiri. Issei punched her in the face. Issei snarled at her and continued to kill the monsters that surrounded him. Kiri started to feel the fear. Before she could react she was kicked by behind by Issei's wives. Each one of them were taking turns beating Kiri. If Kiri was sent flying another hit would come in sending her flying to different directions. Dimit yells in anger, this is for our emperor. After a few minutes Kiri was laying on the ground, seeing her legions were completely destroyed. Kiri spoke while getting up, what? Then Issei grabs her by the neck. Issei's eyes were glowing green with anger. Issei spoke, who are the devils? Kiri was trying to break free but was getting choked. Kiri spoke, the Jamiri. Issei stared at Kiri for confirmation. Then Kiri quickly transformed to a mutated monster. Issei back off then look at her disgust. Issei spoke, I'll end this. Issei made a fireball and threw at Kiri. Then Kiri started to burn and yell in pain till she burned to ashes. Issei started to walk off from the barrier. As his wives followed him while carrying Lily. Issei spoke, take my sister back home. I'll need to go alone. His wives were hesitant but followed his order. Issei started to walk to Orc building. After reaching his destination he burst his way in. Then kicked the door sending it flying to someone which was Francis. Riaz was shocked by the sudden event. Her peerage were preparing for attack then Issei coming with his part dragon form. Issei spoke, Riaz. Riaz felt his death glare and her peerage decided to attack Issei. Issei easily knocked them out including Francis. Riaz, Asia and Aoi were standing in shock. Riaz demanded, what all this? Shut it. Your clan wants me dead. I killed my ex. Now your brother is to answer. Issei roared. Then a magic circle appeared in the club. It was Serzerx with a panic face. Then Serzerx saw Issei angry. Issei spoke Serzerx. What is it Issei? Surzurks asked calmly as a sweat could be felt. Issei approached Surzurks, then punched him in the gut, sending him flying to the wall. Issei roared, "Is it you sent Kiri to kill me?" Surzurks gets up and responded, "Do you know the consequences for attacking a Mau? I don't give shit. Answer the question or I'll force you to answer." Issei yelled in anger. Surzurks started to power up, then Issei grabbed Riaz by the neck. As everyone in the club were shocked by what is going on. Surzurks spoke in anger, "Let my sister go. Answer my question, it was you," Issei yelled. Chapter 43. Issei was standing holding Riaz like a hostage. Surzurks was standing helplessly that his sister was in hands of Issei. Issei spoke angrily, "I don't have all day." Then he started tightening his grip on Riaz's neck and Riaz began to grab Issei wrist trying to breathe. Surzurks responded, "Yes, it all me Issei. I was the one who sent your ex to kill you. Now let my sister go or face the consequences." Issei dropped Riaz to floor and everyone went behind Surzurks. Surzurks spoke, "Good dragon. I see you made a good decision, if not I would immediately send my assassins to kill your family. I would start with your mother then your little sister. Better yet I would let my assassins to take her virginity by force." Issei's eyes looks at Surzurks with anger. In a split second Surzurks felt a punch in his stomach and was sent flying through the building. Issei roared, "Don't you dare threaten my family. Especially my sister." Surzurks immediately noticed that he angered a dragon, especially a red dragon emperor. Issei was in front of Surzurks and grabbed his armor. Surzurks spoke, "If you kill me, there be war with the yokai faction. Don't want you to see the faction destroyed by your temperament." Issei didn't respond but instead sent gut punch at Surzurks. Surzurks was sent back to the ground. Riaz spoke, "Brother." Issei spoke, "Attacking the red dragon emperor. Which means you are scared of my power who wants me dead. I'll not be killed like my ancestor." Surzurks gets up from the ground and began to powering up. Surzurks spoke, "Not just me, but all three factions believe you're a threat to our existence. We decided to wipe you out for good. Fine by me. Then I'll destroy them before they kill me, starting with you." Issei spoke. Before Issei makes his next move he sends a power flying behind him. Issei moved out of the way. Issei looks behind him and was Francis in his balance breaker. Issei spoke, "Francis, what a bold move." Then Francis charged at Issei, but a punch was sent his face causing his helmet to shatter. Then Issei sent a knee kick at Francis' stomach. Francis was sent back to the ground. Francis spoke to Dryag, "Hey, is there any way to defeat Issei?" There was no response from Dryag. "Dryag?" Francis spoke. "Why would I want to hurt my own descendant? His power are similar to mine. He is even stronger than you," Dryag responded. Francis was cursing that Dryag wasn't willing to help him. Francis began to get up from the ground. Francis spoke, "Issei, you're lucky that are a descendant of Dryag." Then Issei moved aside from an attack from Surzurks which struck Francis, almost killing him. Issei spoke, "You still missed." Then Issei charged at Surzurks, but Surzurks immediately went back trying to avoid Issei attacks. Surzurks knew he can't go toe-to-toe with Issei. He immediately teleported everyone to the underworld. Issei roared to the sky. Issei calmed down and realized that Surzurks is coming back with military. He needs to warn the yokai faction to prepare for a war. Issei returned back home in his human form. His wives were waiting for him, as for his sister still asleep. Dimit spoke, "Something happened." Issei looks at his wives and responded, "A war has begun. We need to warn the others. The three factions will hunt me down. You guys go, as for my family we'll go on a trip. I don't want them to be part of it." Then Issei's mother came to the living, noticed that everyone was back. She noticed that Issei had a worried expression. Issei's mother spoke, "Something wrong, son?" "Not at all, mom, but you didn't had trip in long time." Issei spoke. Issei's mother was confused about mentioning a trip. Then Shuri spoke, "What he means, all of us want your family go out to a beach or something, since you let us come in your house." Issei's mother spoke, "There is no need for that. You are always welcome." "No, we insist, we are not taking a no for an answer." Timid spoke. "Okay, when?" She responded, "Couple of hours." Issei's mother was about to speak but was interrupted by Emilia. "Don't worry about it, everything is fine. Issei and I would watch over. Take stepdad and Lily with you." Then after a couple of minutes Issei's mother took her family to a trip that was far away. Issei could only hope they won't get caught in the crossfire. Issei looks at his four wives and spoke, "We must go before they come back." Shu spoke, "Don't worry, we will be with you all the way." Issei smiled at them and they walked to the train station to head on Kyoto, where he meet his other wives. Chapter 44. Issei was in the train with his wives. It was nighttime. His wives were asleep resting on Issei. Issei was awake thinking about the situation. He heard Dryag's voice, worried. "Hey, grandpa." "Well, I'm worried for the faction, especially my family." Issei responded, "I see. I wish to never fight my very own descendant. Since I'm in a sacred gear. When we fight I want you to kill my host." Dryag spoke. Issei asked, "Why you want me to kill your host?" "Trust me. I have something in mind." Dryag responded. Issei reached the city Koito and he quickly went to his wife's home. Once he entered he saw his wives were shocked to see him without notice. Kunu, Yusaka, Celia, Esha and Yua ran towards Issei and hugged him. Kunu spoke, "Issei my love. Why the sudden rush?" Issei hugged his wives and responded, "There's something I need to tell you." His wives look at Issei with concerned faces. Issei sat on the couch as his 9 wives surrounded him. Issei spoke, "Yusaka. There be war with the yokai faction against the biblical factions." Yusaka's eyes widened in shock. Kunu and the others were in shock. Kunu spoke, "They outnumbered us and are stronger than us." Yua asked Issei, "Why war?" Issei responded with a sigh, "The leaders wants me dead since I'm a threat to them. They tried send devil to kill me, but failed. I went to club and I had my answers. I guess we have no other choice but to fight. Issei you are part of the yokai faction." Yusaka spoke. Then hours passed. Yusaka was able to make an army to defend the yokai faction from biblical factions. Issei would look at the army and their determination to fight to the death. His wives approached Issei and spoke, "We will fight alongside you." Issei spoke, "Please don't do this is my fight." Yua spoke, "You are our husband we won't back down." His wives hugged him as they were preparing for a battle. They had a battle terrain that was favorable on their side. They waited until multiple magic circle appeared on the other side. There were devils, angels and fallen angels appeared with their leaders. Sir Zerks in a loud voice so everyone can hear, "Issei Red Dragon Emperor. You must surrender or your faction will perish." Issei was in front of the army and looked around. He noticed the yokai went back down. Issei transformed part dragon. Issei spoke, "I'll not surrender till my last breath." Then the 2 army began to charge at each other. Issei was heading on the leaders. Then there a big clash on both sides. Issei was fighting the 4 Moes, Michael and Azazel. At first the yokai was winning the battle, but then they were getting outnumbered. Issei began to wound the leaders, but then saw an attack coming from Francis. Issei would dodge out of the way. Issei noticed a sword Francis had. Dryag spoke, "Issei get out of the way." Issei dodged the attack but felt shivers on his spine. Francis spoke, "Never thought you'd get scared of this. This is Ascalon, it was meant to slay dragons." Francis began to boost his power as Issei was doing the same. Francis charged at Issei at lightning speed, but Issei moved out the way began to do combo moves. Francis would feel the punches that his armor was getting destroyed. Francis was trying to fight but was being knocked down. Then Aoi joins the fight but was stopped by Issei blocks. Then Issei took hold of Aoi. Issei spoke, "Never thought I would fight my old friend. You know the truth that I don't like you since the beginning." Aoi spoke. "That confession that I made was a dare all along." Issei spoke as Aoi eyes widened in shock. Issei continued speaking, "I knew that you were going to reject me, but never thought you would look down on me. I thought you as a friend but not a lover." Aoi was more shocked that Issei didn't love her. Then Issei threw Aoi to the air and punched her in the gut, sending her flying back. Issei dodged an attack from the faction leaders. Issei spoke, "You all will pay." Before Issei could attack Dryag spoke, "Issei. Francis is activating the Juggernaut drive." Issei noticed that Francis started enchanting. Then a huge amount of aura exploded from Francis. Francis transformed in a dragon and roared to the sky. Issei noticed that Francis was enraged. Then Francis charged at Issei with double power. Issei tried to block but was sent back flying. Issei realized that Francis has gotten stronger but don't know how long he'll last. Francis charged at Issei's wives. His wives tried to protect themselves but sent out injured. Issei quickly tried to fight Francis but was sent backwards by the hit of Francis' wing. Issei hit the ground and stood up. He saw the yokai were getting slaughtered. His wives injured. Issei felt he failed them. Dryag spoke to Issei, "Are you willing to die for them?" Issei responded, "I will." Then take off the bracelet. Dryag spoke. Issei looks at the wristband. He always wondered why he had on the all time. Issei yelled to the sky, "Forgive me father. I'm going to have to do it." Issei placed his hand on the bracelet then took it off with tears in his eyes. Issei yelled to the sky in agony, then his aura exploded, causing everyone to fall to the ground. His body began to transform into a dragon. Issei yells began to turn a roar. As he was transforming he felt large amount of power inside of him. He was 40 meters tall and he spread his dragon wings at full glory. He roared to the sky and looked down at the factions. Everyone was shook in fear. Sir Zerks was now facing a true dragon. Issei charged at Francis while doubling his power. Issei began to tear Francis' body with his large claws. Francis was trying to fight back but he was losing his life force. Then Issei grabbed Francis' neck and flew into the sky. Issei roared, "Time to pay." Issei made a large fireball out his mouth and blew at Francis. Francis started to burn slowly. Francis roared in pain but Issei won't let him live. Everyone was shocked that Issei was killing the Red Dragon Emperor. "No one will hurt my family." Issei roared. Then Issei stabbed Francis in his chest. After a few minutes Francis was dead. as the faction's leaders were in shock. Issei turns his attention towards them. With each step he took the ground shook. Issei flames came out of his mouth began to burn everyone in its path. Sirzurks, Azazel and Michael were burned to death along their soldiers. The battlefield was in flames and Issei roared to the sky in tears that he broke the promise of his father. Issei felt bodies were touching him. It was Timid, Emilia and you in their dragon form trying to comfort Issei. Timid spoke, Issei you had to do it and protect us. Thank you. Issei stopped his tears from falling and he hoped his father would forgive him. Chapter 45. In the high Rocky Mountains could be seen a red dragon lying on top of the mountain. Issei had his eyes closed. The reason he was in the mountain he didn't want to cause destruction for his factions since he age in the battle. His wives would visit him daily. Timid, Yua and Emilia would form of dragons to keep Issei company. Shu noticed how Issei felt. Issei was sad he had to break the promise of his father. His strong aura was felt once they get close him. Timid spoke, Issei how are you feeling? Issei didn't respond but looked at Timid. Then Issei just closed his eyes like trying to sleep. Yua spoke, Issei don't worry you'll be able to become human. Trying to get close to him. You are lucky to transform at ease, but I'm like full-fledged dragon. Issei spoke and looked at Yua directly in her eyes. Yua stopped on her tracks and her eyes began to water. Issei noticed her reaction he felt bad. Issei spoke, I'm sorry Yua. I'm not myself. I lost my human form. Then Yusaka and Kunu approached Issei and hugged his nose. Yusaka spoke, we're here for you. Dragon or human we still love you. Issei spoke to Emilia, tell my parents that I had moved out. Emilia spoke, what about Lily? Tell her big brother will remember you. Issei responded. Emilia hugged Issei with her dragon form and left to Koyu. His wives stayed close to him. After months passed Emilia was at home with her parents. Lily asked, sister. Can I meet big brother? Emilia was shocked that Lily was wanting to meet Issei. Emilia responded, soon Lily. No. I want to see him now. Lily protested. Emilia was sly and then spoke, what if I told you a secret about Issei? Lily spoke, please tell me. Well Issei is a dragon. Emilia spoke. Lily was confused that her big brother was a dragon. Lily spoke, what? Yeah true he is dragon, I don't think Issei want you to see him in his form. Emilia spoke. Well I want to see him no matter what. Lily spoke. Emilia sighed that she going to regret it. Emilia took Lily's hands and teleported near the mountains. Lily was confused what just happened. Emilia took Lily to the top of the mountain. Once on top Lily was shocked to see women with animals features hugging a large red dragon. Issei opened his eyes and was shocked to see Emilia bringing Lily. Emilia spoke, he is your big brother. Issei spoke, Lily. Why? Lily began to approach Issei with fear. Issei spoke, don't get close me sis. I don't want you to see me like this. Lily rushed to hug Issei's snout. Lily spoke, I missed you big brother. Issei made a small smile and felt his little sister hug. Lily asked, what happened? Issei was quiet then responded, I took off the bracelet. I promised to never take it off. Now I'm like this. Issei showed Lily his bracelet leaving on Lily's hands. It looked ordinary, but Lily remembered Issei used to wear all the time. Issei spoke, you need to go home before mom get worried. Lily puts on the bracelet to her wrist and hugged Issei. Emilia teleported her sister back home. Issei just looks to the sky feeling the hugs of his wives. After few months his wives were pregnant. Issei sensed he was the father as he felt a bond with them. His wives would stay in the mountains to be close with Issei. Issei started to think being a dragon isn't so bad as he was getting used to his form. 6 years later Issei continued to stay in the mountains as his home. Issei was looking at yokai faction down below. He could see people being happy. Then he sensed several presents were coming. Then it appeared his wives and kids. Timid, Yua and Emilia transformed into dragons and approached Issei. Yua spoke, how are you? Doing fine as always. Issei responded. Celia, Kunu, Yusaka, Shu, Shuri and Esha hugged Issei's snout. Issei would let out a low growl. Issei spoke, hey girls. The kids wanted to see their dad. Shuri spoke. Issei looks down and saw his 5 sons and 4 daughters. One of his sons spoke, how come dad is a dragon? Kunu responded, Sonya was a human, then a battle came so he did it to protect us, now he is full dragon. One Issei daughters asked, Dad can you fly us around? Issei smiled and responded, sure then I'll teach you to fly. His children and his wives got on his back and flew in the air. His children screamed excitedly. As his 3 wives were flying next to him. Then Issei rose into the air, then dove down. His children were laughing having fun. One daughter of Celia was scared to death that she activated her power. Then suddenly a red gauntlet appeared on her left arm. Issei stopped and looked at the gauntlet. Then Dryag spoke out the gauntlet, hey son long time. His children were shocked and his wives. Issei spoke, hey grandpa. Like seeing your descendants. Dryag chuckled and responded, your children are happy. I'm glad my bloodline continued. Now your daughter is my host. Please train your daughter and your other children since they have my blood." Issei spoke, "We'll see. Nice talking to you." Briag became silent and Issei continued to spend time with his family. Later he heard the news the supernatural are plotting against him. Issei soared in the skies willing to protect his family as the Red Dragon Emperor.